We are back, and my phone is on 10%, so we'll see how long it lasts. Chapter 2. Ori. A-O-R-I. No, A-U-R-I. I'm made of concrete. My body's carved from a solid block of stone, and I can't move a muscle. And this is the only thing I know, that I can't move. I don't know my name. I don't know where I am. I don't know why I can't see or hear, taste or smell or sense anything. And then there's input. But like when you're falling and you can't tell which way is up or down, or when a jet of water hits you and you can't tell if it's hot or cold. Now I can't tell if I'm hearing, seeing, or feeling. I just know there's something I can sense that I couldn't sense before. So I wait, impatiently, to see what happens next. Please, ma'am, just let me have my uni glass. I could tune into the draft remotely from here. I might be able to catch the last few rounds, even if I can just... It's a boy's voice, and in a rush I understand the words, though I don't know what he's talking about. But there's a note of desperation in his voice that kicks up my pulse in response. You have to understand how important this is. And now we're in a flashback. You have to understand how important this is, Aurora. It's my mum's voice, and she's standing behind me, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. This is going to change everything. We're in front of a window, wisps of cloud or smog visible on the other side of the thick glass. I lean forward to rest my forehead against it, and when I look down I know where I am. Far below there's a glimpse of muddy green. Central Park, with its brown patchwork quilt, the roofs of the shanty towns and the little fields carved out by its residents, the grey-brown of water beside it. We're on West 89th Street, at the headquarters of Ad Astra Incorporated, my parents' employer. We're at the launch of the Octavia 3 expedition. My parents wanted us to understand why they were going, why we were looking ahead to a year of boarding school, breaks spent stranded with friends. This was about 2 months before they told Mum she was bunched from the mission, before Dad told her he was going without her. Then, as I watch, the trees of Central Park start to grow, shooting up like Jack's magic beanstalk. In seconds they're the height of skyscrapers all around them. Vines leap towards twine around our building and fast forward. They squeeze like boa constrictors, and the plaster on the walls starts to crack, fine dust drifting from the ceiling. Blue flakes start to fall from the sky like snow. But this part of the memory never happened, and the sight is painful, unwelcome, and unpleasant in a way that I can't put my finger on. I shy away from it, shove myself free of it, stumbling back towards consciousness, back towards the light. Exit flashback. The light is bright, and the boy is still talking. As I return to the confines of my body, I remember my name. I am Aurora Lynn O'Malley. No, wait, I'm Ori O'Malley. That's better. That's me. And I definitely have a body. This is good. This is progress. My sense of taste and smell are back, and I'm immediately wishing they weren't. Because holy cake, my mouth tastes like something's crawled in there, fought a battle to the death, and then decomposed. There's a woman's voice now, from farther away. Your sister will be here soon, if you'll just wait. The boy again. Scarlett's coming? Maker's breath. Is the graduation ceremony over already? How much longer do I have to wait? Enter flashback. How much longer do I have to wait? I'm in a vid chat with my dad, and that's the question doing laps around my brain. The uplink delay is dragging on my very last nerve, the broadcast system making me wait a couple of minutes before my replies reach him in Octavia. A couple more before his bounce back. But Dad's got Patrice sitting beside him, and there's no reason she'd be here except to break the news herself. I think I'm about to hear the wait that has dominated my life for 2 years is nearly over. I think that all the work I've put in is about to pay off, that I'm about to be told I'm slated for my third mission to Octavia. For the third mission to Octavia, sorry. Today's my 17th birthday, and I can't think of a better present in all of time and space. Patrice hasn't spoken yet, though, and Dad's rambling on about other stuff, grinning like his mega stakes number came in. His tent is gone. They're sitting in front of an actual wall with a real-life window and everything. So I know the colony must be really progressing. On Dad's lap is one of the chimpanzees he works with as part of the Octavia bio program. When my sister and I misbehave, he teases us by calling them his favourite children. My adopted family is very well, he laughs, petting the animal, but I'm looking forward to having at least one of my girls here in person. So it will be soon? I ask, unable to hold the question in any longer. I groan inwardly, tipping my head back and resigning myself to a 4-minute wait for a reply. But my heart drops when I see my question finally arrive on their end. Dad's still smiling, but Patrice looks nervous? Worried? It'll be soon, Jeelin, my father promises, but we're calling about something else today. Wait, did he actually remember my birthday? He's still smiling, and he lifts his hand up into view on the screen. Mother custard, he's holding Patrice's hand. Patrice and I have been spending a lot of time together lately, he says, and we've decided it's time to make things a little more official and share quarters. So it'll be the 3 of us when you arrive. He keeps talking, but I'm barely listening. I thought you could bring rice flour when you arrive. And tapioca starch. I just want us to have one meal that didn't come from the synth to celebrate being together again. I'll make you rice noodles. It takes me a moment to realize he's done, and that he's waiting for my reply. I'm looking at the pair of them, their hands interlocked, Dad's hopeful smile and Patrice's pained grin. Thinking of my mum and trying to process what this will mean. You've got to be kidding, I finally say. You want me to celebrate? Arguing back and forth with a 4-minute delay doesn't really work, so I keep my transmission on, saying everything I need to before he gets a chance to answer. Look, I'm sorry you have to hear this, Patrice, but obviously Dad wasn't considerate enough to tell me in private. I turn my stare on my father, my finger pressing the transmit button so hard my knuckle turns white. First off, thanks for the birthday wishes, Dad. Thanks for the congratulations about winning all states again. Thanks for remembering my message. Thanks for remembering to message Callie about her recital, which she nailed, by the way. But most of all, thanks for this. Mum couldn't get clearance for Octavia, so what? You just replaced her? You're not even divorced yet. I don't wait to hear their delayed reply. I don't want to hear the new versions of the same old excuses or apologies. I stab a button to kill the transmission. But before I can rise from my seat, the frozen image of the 2 of them wavers. I see a flash of light. It's so bright the whole world turns to white, and as I squint against it, put my hands out in front of me, I realize I can't see anymore. I can't see. Exit flashback. I can see. I'm lying on my back and I can see the ceiling. It's white, and there are cables snaking across it. Somewhere above me is a light that hurts my eyes. I hold up my hands in front of me like I did in my dream, almost surprised I can see my fingers. But weird dreams aside, I have my name now, and I remember my family. I was part of the 3rd shipment of colonists to Octavia 3. Progress! Maybe I'm on Octavia now, and this is cryo recovery? I stare up at the ceiling, eyes half closed against the light. I can feel more memories hovering just out of reach. Maybe if I pretend I'm looking this way, away from them, they'll come creeping out, and then I can pounce. So I focus on something else, and decide to try and turn my head. I pick left, because I think that's where the guy's voice is coming from. I feel like one of those strong men you see in vids, trying to tear a whole loader drone by hand, as I strain against the inertia, pulling every atom of myself into the effort. It's the weirdest sensation. Immeasurable exertion without feeling a thing. I'm rewarded with a view of glass wall, frosted to about waist height. The guy's on the other side of it, pacing like a caged animal. My brain goes haywire, trying to process too much information at once. Fact. He's hot as all get out. Like, chiseled jaw, tousled blonde hair, brooding stare with a perfect little scar through his right eyebrow. This is just ridiculous hot. The fact takes up quite a bit of my mental real estate. Fact. He's not wearing a shirt. This is now making a play for most important fact, that's capitalized, and currently seems very relevant to my interests. Whatever those are. Whatever I am. But wait a minute, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone, both otherwise or in between, we have a new contender for Fact of the Century. All other facts, please step aside. Fact. Though the frosted glass obscures all the interesting details, there can be no doubt about it. My mystery man is not currently in possession of pants. This day is looking up. He frowns, making the most of that very scarred eyebrow. This is taking forever, he says. Enter flashback. This is taking forever. The man in front of me is whining again. We're lining up for cryo, hundreds of us, and the place smells like industrial strength bleach. There are butterflies in my stomach, but they're not nerves, they're excitement. I've trained for this for years. I've fought tooth and nail for my apprenticeship. I've earned this moment. I say goodbye to my mum and my... I'll have to continue later. The audio quality on yesterday's was shit, so I'm wearing my earbuds today. That's alright. You called me yesterday, so I had to pop it down. Put it back again. I said goodbye to my mum and my little sister Callie yesterday, and that was by far the roughest part of leaving. I haven't spoken to Dad since the Patrice incident, and I don't know what either of us will say when we're reunited. Patrice herself has been okay. She's sent through a few briefing papers she needs me to read, keeping it friendly and professional. But of all the people he could have picked, my father had to start boning the woman who was going to be my supervisor. Thanks again, Dad. I shuffle a little closer to the front of the line. In a minute it will be my turn in the showers, and I'll scrub myself within an inch of my life, don my thin grey jumpsuit, and step into the capsule. They knock us out before they get the breathing and feeding tubes in. The girl in line behind me looks about my age, and nervous as all hell, gaze flickering around the place like it's ricocheting off everything it lands on. Hi, I say, trying on a smile. Hi back, she replies, shaky. Apprenticeship, I guess? Aiming for distraction. Meteorology, she says, her grin a little sheepish. I'm a weather nerd. Hard not to be growing up in Florida. We get all the weather. I'm exploration and cartography, I say. Going where no one has gone before, that kind of thing. But I'll be back at base a lot too. We should hang out. She tilts her head like I said something strange, and the whole scene shakes, shivers, a bright light flickering somewhere like a strobe.
The girl closes her eyes against the flashes, and when she opens them again, her right eye has changed. I can still see the pupil, the black edge of the iris, but where her left eye is brown, her right eye has turned pure white. Ishvaren, she whispers, staring at me like she doesn't see me. What? The whiny man in front of us in line whispered the word. Ishvaren. When I whirl around, I see that his right eye has turned white too. What does that mean? But neither of them replies. They just whisper the word again, and it spreads up and down the line like a forest catching fire. Ishvaren, Ishvaren, Ishvaren. Eye burning, fingers trembling, she reaches out to touch my face. Exit flashback. Oh, hello, Touch. I see you've decided to join us. And now you're here, I can tell every single part of me is hurting in ways I didn't even know had been invented yet. Another wave of pain hits me, sweeping away the last of that creepy memory that wasn't a dream thing, and reminding me my body seems to be just as messed up as my head is right now. I'm reduced to panting, to whimpering with a raw throat that catches and gags at the effort, to just existing until the hurt starts to ebb away. But with pain and touch comes proper mobility, and that means I can push up onto my elbows and look across for the guy once more. His lower half has turned grey, and from this I deduce he is now, unfortunately, wearing pants. This day really is turning out to be a bust. The pants discovery prompts a tickle of a question in my head, and I look down beneath the light silvery sheet that currently covers me to check what I'm wearing. Turns out that answer is nothing at all. Huh. I look back at the boy, and at the same moment he turns to me, his eyes widening as he realizes I'm awake. I draw breath to try and speak, but I choke, my throat stinging like someone's ripping out my vocal cords one by one. Are you okay? He asks. Is this Octavia? I wheeze. He shakes his head, blue eyes meeting mine. What's your name? Aurora, I manage. Ori. Tyler, he replies. I feel like I should ask him where I am, if we're on the Hadfield and if I was pulled out early, or if I'm on Earth and they aborted the mission. But there's something in his gaze that makes me shy away from the question. He lets his forehead rest against the glass between us with a thunk, like I did at that window on 89th Street. The memory catches me unawares, bringing with it a sharp wave of I want my mum. This boy looks just as lost as I feel. Are you okay? I whisper. I missed it, he finally says. The draft. I missed the whole thing. I've got no idea what a draft is or why it's so important, but I ask anyway. Had somewhere else to be? He nods and sighs. Rescuing you. Rescuing. That's not a good word. Who knows who I got, he says, and we both know he's changing the subject. I was supposed to have 4 of the first 5 picks, and now I'm stuck with the bottom of the barrel, the dregs, and I was just following Reg. The news isn't all bad, Ty. The low purr comes from somewhere outside my field of vision. A girl's voice. Tyler swings away from me like I'm yesterday's news, plastering himself against the front of his holding tank. Scarlet! I carefully turn my gaze that way. It still takes thought and strategy, my body refusing to do anything without a plan. To see who he's greeting. There are 2 girls standing there in blue-grey uniforms, the same colour as the pants he seems to have acquired. One has flaming red hair. Orange, really. Amazing dye job. cut in a sharp, asymmetrical bob that swings round a chiseled chin just like his. She shares his full lips too, his strong brows. Her uniform skirt is impressively short. She's tall and she's gorgeous. Presumably, this is Scarlet. The second girl has a narrow face and a soaring phoenix tattooed right across her throat. Ouch. Black hair, longer and spiked on top, shaved to fuzz down the sides with more tattoos underneath. I can tell she has dimples and that her smile would be huge, but I have to deduce it all without seeing the real deal, because right now she looks like somebody killed her grandmother. Cat? Tyler says to her. His voice is low, pleading. Ketchit tried to draft me, Cat says, and a bunch after that. I told them I already had an alpha. He just couldn't make it. Told them, huh? Is Ketchit still breathing? Yeah, the girl smirks. Next time you go to chapel, you might want to say a prayer for his testicles, though. He exhales slowly and presses his palm against the glass. And she lifts hers to press it back in return. The girl with the orange hair watches them. I didn't have to insist quite so hard, she says, wry. But I could hardly leave you out there alone. You'd probably get yourself killed without me to talk our way out of trouble, baby brother. Tattoo girl pulls up her uniform sleeves, revealing more ink. Speaking of getting yourself killed, want to tell us what you were doing folding by yourself? Thinking with your other head again? Scarlet nods in agreement. Rescuing damsels in distress is very 22nd century, Ty. Say what? Tyler holds up his hands like, what do you want from me? And the girls turn to look at me on my slab with very curious eyes. Checking me out, weighing me up. I like her hair, Scarlet declares. Then, as if remembering I'm an actual person, she speaks to me, louder, a little slower. I like your hair. The second girl sniffs, obviously less impressed. Did you tell her the bad news about her library books yet? Cat! The other two snap in chorus. An adult voice cuts in before they can get any further. Legionnaire Jones, your quarantine has been cleared. You're free to go. Ty looks at me and our eyes meet. He hesitates. Did you tell her the bad news? That's not like something that somebody said. That's like a thought that Aurora's having. You can call in the morning to find out when you can visit, the voice says. He nods reluctantly, stepping out of his holding pen as the door hisses open in front of him. With a last glance at me, the trio leaves the room, Ty's voice fading out of hearing as he disappears from sight. Hey, can I get a shirt? I assume that's Tyler. My brain's starting to assemble more facts now, agitation creeping in as the lethargy of cryo slips away. Where am I? Who are these people? They're in uniforms. Is this some kind of military facility? If so, what am I doing here? And am I safe? I try to croak out a question, but I can't make my voice work, and there's no one to ask anyway. And so I'm left alone in silence, every nerve throbbing in time with my heartbeat, my head swimming with half-asked questions, trying to wade my way free of the confusion I didn't know came with cryo. I don't know how much time has gone by when I hear voices again. I'm in the middle of another strange dream thing, this one of a world thick with grasping green plants, blue snow drifting down from the sky when... Aurora, can you hear me? With effort, I push away the image of a place I've never seen and turn my head. I must have been dozing because there's a woman beside me in the same blue-grey uniform as everyone else. She's perfectly white. And I don't mean I'm half Chinese and you're whiter than me, white. I mean pure as the driven snow white, impossibly white. Her eyes are a pale grey. The whole eye, not just the iris, and they're way too big. Her bone-white hair is pulled back into a ponytail. I am Greater Clan Battle Leader Daniil de Vera Destoy. She pauses to let me digest that mouthful. I am pleased to meet you, Aurora. Great Clan what now? I agree. Not game to risk a different kind of sound. Nobody ever calls me Aurora unless I'm in trouble. I imagine you have many questions, she says. She's evidently not expecting a reply. I nod a fraction, willing my focus to stay with this moment. I'm afraid I have bad news, she continues. I know of no way to break this to you gently, so I'll be frank. There was an incident while your ship was en route to Legon. We were travelling to Octavia, I say quietly, but I know that the name of my colony isn't the point. I can tell from the careful reserve in her voice that there's something much bigger coming. There's a pressure in the air, like the moments before a storm breaks. You were removed from your cryopod improperly, she continues, which is why you're feeling like you've been turned inside out. That will improve soon. But the Hadfield was the subject of an incident in the fold, Aurora. It's Ori. No idea if you heard that. It's Ori, I whisper, stalling. Incident in the fold. Ori. What kind of incident? I ask. You were adrift for some time. You may have noticed that I don't look like you. My mum always said it wasn't polite to point out that sort of thing. She has a sad kind of a smile for that. I'm a Batrascan. I'm one of many alien species Terrans have encountered in the time since you boarded the Hadfield. My mind flatlines with one long beep, all coherent thought shutting down. Alien species? Many? Does not compute. Please reboot. I say, very carefully. My brain's trying its best to throw out possibilities and getting nowhere good. Are these people conspiracy theorists? Have I been kidnapped by psych cases? Maybe they are military and they've been keeping first contact from us civilians. I know this must be difficult to process, she says. We encountered aliens? I manage. I'm afraid so. But the fold to Octavia was only supposed to take a week. Even if we didn't get there, it's only been a few days, right? I'm afraid not. Something's trying to creep across the corners of my vision, like water seeping in, only this water's phosphorescent, pricked with 1,000 points of turquoise light. I shove it back and focus my attention on the woman at my bedside. My throat closes over. I can barely whisper the question. How long was I gone? I'm sorry, Aurora. Ori. How long? 220 years. What? You've got to be kidding me. This is... But I don't even have the words for what this is. What are you talking about? I know this must be difficult, she says carefully. Difficult? Difficult? I need to speak to someone who's making sense. My heart's thumping wildly, trying to burst out of my chest, matching the pounding in my temples. I clutch the silvery sheet to myself and sit up, setting the world whirling. But I manage to swing my legs over the edge of the bed and hold the sheet around me like a toga as I stagger to my feet. Aurora, I want to speak to someone from Ad Astra, someone from the Octavia expedition. I want to speak to my mum or dad. Aurora, please. I stumble my first few steps and momentum carries me to the door, which slides open as I approach. 2 women in blue-grey uniforms swing around to face me, and one steps forward. I try to dodge, but I nearly fall over sideways, and she grabs me around my shoulders. My hands are busy holding up my sheet, so I just kick her in the knee. The woman yelps, her hands tightening painfully on me, fingers digging in. Let her through. It's battle leader White Lady's voice behind me, in total contrast to my panic, she sounds calm, kind of resigned. The woman releases me, and my legs are shaking as I totter forward, my throat tight, as if someone's squeezing it. And then I see the windows across the hallway. I see what's outside them. Stars. My brain tries to understand what's happening, flipping through options and discarding them at top speed. The view outside the windows isn't a wall, it's not a building. It's a huge sweep of metal, studded with bright lights, I was thinking about whether I was going to edit these while I was reading. It's a huge sweep of metal, studded with bright lights, stretching away from me in a long curve. There's a spacecraft zipping around it like a school of tiny fish around a shark. This is a space station. I'm in space. This place is impossible. It makes the Stid shipyards that the Hadfield launched from look like a gas station somewhere out in the boondocks. This place is impossible. Unless that lady really is an alien. Unless I'm really in space. Unless this really is the future. Beep. Do not compute. Please reboot. Please reboot. I'm 237 years old. Everyone I know is dead. My parents are dead. My sister is dead. My friends are dead. My home is gone. Everyone I know is gone. I can't. The next wave of the vision comes for me, and this time I let the glowing waters sweep over my head, and they pull me under. That, my love, is the end of chapter 2. Bye-bye.